Thank you. Let's bring in former OMB Associate Director and Sentinel Action Fund President Jessica Anderson, along with Walkaway Campaign founder Brandon Straka. Thank you both for coming on. Jessica, to you first. I'm going to kind of pick up that whole AOC thing where she's literally saying the power the GOP has to attract young men on social media is because, after all, they're racist and homophobic. Watch.
They are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them.
I mean, it's not Hillary's deplorables, but it's very close, Jessica.
Listening to AOC talk about masculinity is actually just like comical, so I apologize for laughing. Look, I'd like to see this same sort of reaction to the gentleman, Jay Jones, that's running for Attorney General in Virginia, where he fantasized about shooting 2 bullets in the head of his Republican colleague. The Democratic left has a violence problem. It went from fringe of their party to the mainstream. And I think AOC can't wrap her head around that and really understand just how deep this is within the Democratic left. They have to call out this violence. They're not. Look at Mamdani's interview just earlier today on Fox, refusing to condemn Hamas, refusing to call them to disarm, and not supporting any of the peace deal that President Trump got through. I mean, this is a huge problem. Huge.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Mamdani as well as their crime problem here, violence problem here. Brandon, to you, Bernie Sanders says the GOP Congress members are really nothing more than Trump robots. Watch.
I got to tell you, though, if I may, one of the things that has concerned me very, very much and is that we are seeing the Republican Party doing less of representing their districts and their states than just swearing allegiance to the President of the United States.
What do you think, Brandon?
I think that they have to, shoot their arrows at the Republican Party to avoid any culpability for how badly their own party is failing and how many people are fleeing the policies that they're pushing forward. I mean, the Democrat Party is very quickly becoming the party of socialism and communism. People are seeing this very, very clearly. It's happening right here in New York City, where I am, fighting Zohran Mamdani. And so I think all that they really have is to try to vilify and demonize the Republican Party, because, frankly, a lot of Americans are seeing that the Republican policies and Donald Trump's policies are making their lives better. They're making the economy better. People are coming over to our side in droves, and they're panicking. They're afraid. They should be panicking. Americans are going to reject socialism and communism. We don't want this from the Democrat Party.
Yeah, meantime, The Atlantic writes the following, talking about left-wing terrorism being on the rise. It goes on to say Trump's political ascent and the expansion of the MAGA movement seem to have re-energized left-wing violent extremism. By July 4 of this year, far-left extremists had already been responsible for 5 terrorist attacks and plots, putting 2025 on pace to be the left's most violent year in more than 3 decades. And, of course, it surpassed that, sadly, Jessica.
It's not just the violence that's the problem. It's also the silence from Democratic leaders to condemn this. You look at the largest cities from coast to coast in our country that are being burned and destroyed, and you have recklessness on the streets. And Trump is trying to come in and actually provide safety and security, like he's done here in Washington, D.C., my hometown, like he's doing it in Memphis, like even liberal businessmen want him to come and do in San Francisco. And so I think this dichotomy that we're seeing, where the left just cannot actually articulate that they have a problem with the extremism within their party. And unfortunately, we're going to see more extreme candidates like Jay Jones in Virginia running for AG and Mamdani running in New York for this mayoral race. And the Republicans have to step up, do their part, and win just here 3 weeks from now.
Meantime, you have Zohran Mamdani, who will not praise the peace deal. Watch.
I continue to have concerns because I've seen reports still just in the last few days that 5 Palestinians were killed by the Israeli military. And that's what gives me pause about issuing any kind of praise or celebration at a moment when it is still so in its infancy.
Now, he's afraid, Brandon, that his team's not going to get what they deserve in all of this.
Well, I think that's true, but I mean, there's a lot to look at here with Zohran Mamdani. I mean, this is a guy, too, who has been openly very anti-Israel and made very anti-Semitic comments. This is somebody who doesn't believe that Israel has a right to defend itself. He's openly said that he will not denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada. And he has been very, very pro-Hamas. So he has not really backed off of this stance whatsoever. And then, of course, he doesn't want to give President Trump credit for going in there, getting these Israeli hostages released and brokering a little bit of peace over there in the Middle East. To Zohran Mamdani, this is probably one of the worst things that could happen. But yeah, this is a very, very, I think, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic candidate.
Yeah, it is. Brandon, Jessica, thank you both. New York.